Welcome to the International Teacher Podcast with your host, Kent the Cat Guy, Jacqueline from JP Mint Consulting, Darian the Family Guy, and Greg the Single Guy, bringing you episodes from around the world about the best-kept secret in teaching. You got it, international education. Welcome to the show. All right, this is Greg coming to you from the ITP. We have a very special episode right now. We might even drop this halfway through the other episodes as a special gift to you. It is our birthday. We have been around. All right, quiet on the set. We've been around since, 2021? Matt and I started this, and Matt, the Family Guy, he's history now. You know, he's somewhere in the ether. I don't know where he is, taking care of his family. But this is our 4th birthday, and I do want to welcome everybody. And I have, of course, I've got Kent the Cat Guy here. Kent, how you doing?
Great. Good to see you, Single Guy. Glad to be here.
Happy birthday, yeah. And JP Mint, happy birthday.
Felicidades!
There you go. We're on video, too. And let me introduce the 4th hero of this show, the new Family Guy. It's Darian Batten, coming to you from the guest room. How you doing, Darian?
Thanks for having me. Great to be new. Great to be somewhere new.
You said new, right? New.
Yes.
Just checking.
Yes, sir.
The new Family Guy. He's Darian, the new Family Guy.
Family Guy. Give it up for the new Family Guy.
He's not new with his family. His kids are older, really. I mean, like elementary age, but he's not
a brand new family. He just found them yesterday. What are you talking about?
Just on the street.
We needed it for the show, and he delivered.
Yeah.
Snatch one out real quick. Get one on discount at the local Lulu.
Lulu Hypermarket. Nice
Right,
name drop.
Nice one.
This episode sponsored by Lulu Hypermarket, which I thought was a casino when I first saw it.
Make sure to get your happiness card from Lulu.
All of us at the ITP, we're coming at you from multiple countries. Cat the Cat Guy, Darian, and I, all 3 of us are in the Middle East at the same school, but JP comes to us from Mexico, and we have a lot to offer you because Darian's a family guy. I'm the single guy. We've got JP Mint is not only the female and single, but she is also Canadian, right? So let's hear it up for the Canadian. And Kent's the cat guy. He's married without any dependents, and he gives another point of view. So that was
I myself am a dependent.
You are, yeah. When we started this show, though, we wanted to get different points of view, and we had a parrot, 2 parrots talking to each other, Matt and I. He was the single, I was a single guy without, from a different point of view. And then when we started the show, Matt was the family guy. So we could show all the teachers out there that you can do this as a family internationally, or you could do it as a single. And there's different viewpoints. There's different experiences, everything from vacation to signing on onto a school to interviewing. Everything was different. And now we have so much more diversity on our show, just with our show, not even including all the guests, right?
Yes, we finally got someone cool is what you're trying to say. No offense,
right,
JP. I'm just talking about Greg and I.
Well, I think in order for our listeners to get a feeling for Darian as the new co-host, I would love the opportunity to right now just ask him a few questions because I myself am curious. You guys work with him, you know him, but I don't know Darian from a hole in the wall. So, Darian, what is your international journey? How did you get overseas?
Well, I thank you, and thanks for you all just welcoming me to the show. It's awesome, just the energy. It's been great. Every time I either see you in person or I talk to you, I really appreciate it. My international journey, I met my wife at a school in Newport News, Virginia. And the school was called An Achievable Dream. And we had that forbidden romance. And so we went and had that romance. We had got married, had our daughter, and we had done everything that everyone had told us to do. All right. They say once you do well in high school, okay, we did that. Go to college, okay, we did that. Get married, okay, we did that. Have a child, okay, we did that. yet we still found ourselves struggling when we wanted to do what was best for our family. Once Alicia was pregnant, we decided that she would stay home for a year and just kind of be with the baby and such. And then we saw our insurance shoot up from $200 for an individual to $800 for a family. And various things like that just kind of shoot up. And we're like, this can't be life. This just doesn't seem like the life that everyone was speaking of. We also were in a place where, although we were teaching and we were having a great time educating students, we were wondering, is this the only way and the only capacity that we could be educators? Is there another way that people are teaching? Is there another way that we could relate to students that allows us to be more impactful and to add to our educational repertoires as well? And so we had two teachers at our school that said, you know what, we're just going to go and we're going to teach in the UAE, in the United Arab Emirates. And so we let them go, okay, and we watched closely. And they came back. We had a visit, and they were just like, it was an awesome time.
Good.
They had a great time. They connected. You said what?
I said they came back. That's great.
But exactly. And they talked about their experiences. They had met tons of new people. They had experienced a lot of new things, and it was just an awesome conversation. So we said, look, we don't believe we'll miss out on anything being here. Let's go try. And so I packed up my $750 that I had and went over there, left the family here just in case it was not true, because the contracts we had were not necessarily real contracts. They were a promise of a contract upon arrival. And so just left everything and took the chance and just haven't been back since.
So you went over to the same school that your former colleagues were in?
Yeah, no, so I taught in Abu Dhabi. So our first venture was in Abu Dhabi. I get a 3-year itch. So I've never been in the same place more than 3 years since I started teaching, ever. So I started in Abu Dhabi. I was in the public school for 3 years. Then I switched to the private school, taught there for 3 years. And then I switched to Saudi Arabia in Udaliya, taught there for 3 years. And now I'm going to, I'm in Dhahran, and I've been here for 1 year. And so I probably got about 2 more years left.
2 more years of itch.
You say 3 years of itch, but it sounds like not necessarily 3 years of the same place, because Abu Dhabi, you were there a total of 6 years, just 3 years in each school. So tell us a little bit about public education, teaching in a public school. Look at the face. Public school teaching in the UAE. Yeah, I can imagine. So first of all, I think it's segregated, right? You would have been in the boys' school?
Yes, ma'am. And so it is an experience. One thing you can count on is that it is an experience. It taught me a lot about where education has come in various parts of the world, how various parts of the world are utilizing the technology and the understanding that they have to get education to different places. And that is a political way of saying, I appreciate the educational system that is in the States, and I can appreciate how various places are striving to do better in all capacities. Public education was different.
How many kids did you have in a class? Because I'm picturing like 40 or something.
Yeah, I taught 2 years in an elementary school and 1 year in a middle school. That 1 year, those 2 years I taught in elementary school, I taught second grade in the morning and fifth grade in the afternoon. And so we switched back and forth. That elementary school was actually a great experience. I met some really good people there. And we actually were able to connect with students, connect with their parents, and really move the needle on what education was, write some curriculum from the ground up, implement programs. It was really kind of open to what the information that you had and the experience that you brought as a teacher. Once I moved to that middle school, that was different. That was our middle school was formulated because there were two, make sure I say this right. There were two schools, and out of these two schools, there were two groups of individuals that did not get along well. So they formulated a third school in order to spread those individuals out.
Wow.
And so we utilized our gifts and talents in order to ensure that everyone from those two rival groups would be okay working and learning in the same vicinity. And so
Wow.
it was a lot of having children and adults and admin and other teachers understand what is going to be necessary, the systems and structures that need to be put in place so that everyone could be safe and so that everyone could learn together in a safe environment.
Get something out of it.
Yeah.
So you transitioned over to the private school sector. Was that an international school, or was that still mostly Emirati students, but in the private sector?
So, and that was, it actually transitioned. My life is just full of transitions. So it began as an international school. And because the population continued to change, they had to drop the international title because it became more of an Emirati school. I believe what was occurring in the UAE is that just like everywhere in the Middle East, funds are consistently changing as places become better suited for living and are drawing larger crowds of people. And so as that occurs, the amount of compensation that they pay people in the packages tend to decrease. And so that was occurring in Abu Dhabi when we were there as well. And so you had the only people that really could afford these schools were the people who were from the UAE who had government jobs and things of that nature. And so that really caused an uptick in Emirati applications and acceptances and overall population within the school. And so,
well, you bring up a good point about funding, and the fact that what you're talking about, sort of those expat lucrative packages where they pay for your family to move with you, they pay for your schools, and I'm thinking like private companies that hire these expats to come into Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Well, the issue is, as they're trying to cut costs, they will not offer those lucrative packages anymore and say, well, you can go, but your family has to stay at home. And so then what happens to all those schools that were depending on all those expat families to come?
It changes the whole dynamic of a place, because also the businesses that thrived off of family package tourism, the businesses that thrived off of things like Kidzania, that thrived off of young children, especially over the break, and things like that, where you don't have the population to support a lot of those core businesses. And so it really changes the overall look and feel and experience there. And some for the better, to be able to have those experiences with people who are from a place, local individuals, is awesome. It really gives you an authentic experience of being within a place and not finding a little Western society amongst the Middle East or anything of that capacity. So it really gives you an authentic experience. But there is something to be said to be able to find a group in order to maybe at the vent, or you need support, or you just need overall understanding in a place. It's nice to have a circle of individuals that can kind of help you along your way. So it definitely changes the dynamic, and also brings about some new experiences within those specific circumstances.
I'd like to
remind Greg's first question.
If I may, JP Min, you're listening to the ITP. This interview is brought to you by the sponsor of our segment, Maples Meats. Folks, have you been looking for meat? Well, we have meat for you on here on the ITP. We would like to thank Maple's Meat. It's the
I put
place
this
where
on
you
because you guys
can
always
meet
make fun of me for
your
my hat.
meat.
It's the
Thank
best
you
meat
very
in
much
Green
for
Bay.
sponsoring this
It's
interview
fantastic.
on the ITP
We
podcast.
really do need
And now
to contact
back
them.
to our interview.
We need to contact them and get some sponsoring.
Darren is so serious about this interview. It's a crazy episode already. We've come a long way in 4 years. We have brief introductions from, interruptions from
We have way
Cat
more
Guy.
pretend sponsors than we had at the beginning.
I know. And we don't get any money from any of them.
No, we get no money.
We've got way more pretend money than we used to have.
We've written a
And
lot
now
of
back to our
apologies
interview.
Apology. Well, I know from a fact that I was an ITP fan before I came on the show. I know for a fact that our listeners are going to want to know all about Darian before they start, hearing
this is
him.
brilliant.
We don't
Please.
want to know about Darian.
Yeah,
No.
they want to know everything.
We
So,
don't even like
Darian-
him.
We see him
just
every
came
day.
on
We
the
haven't even
show.
been listening.
So, Darian,
Where
to
were
Greg's
we?
favorite question, did you go to any job fairs to be able to get any of these jobs? Have you ever been to a job fair?
Yes, ma'am. So the process for going to Abu Dhabi, there was a large recruiting company called Footprints. So Footprints, because we came in a class of, there had to be 750 to 1,000 people they were hiring at one time
Wow.
with Footprints.
Incredible.
And so it was a massive onboarding process that took massive logistics and all these various parts to come together in order for us to get to where we needed to go. And so we went to for a couple of interviews. I remember we turned our interviews into family trips because we completed a computer interview and completed an online interview. And then we drove down to South Carolina for an interview, and either South Carolina or Charlotte, North Carolina for an interview. And then that was the
And you're
final
like, come on, kids, road trip.
There we go. I think I only had-
World and interview.
I had one, and she was like a year. That was in the drop and plop stage. So you can just put them in a corner, with a bottle, and they were fine. So Alicia came, and
That's what we do with Greg.
right.
He's still in the
Full of
drop and
something.
flop.
Just gotta switch up the bottle. So we went down there, just had a great time, went on the interview, and then heard back. As far as like the large job fairs where people were represented, you had representatives from various schools spread out around the campus. No, I haven't been to that. Nothing like that in particular. Everything was handled online, and
Well, when you do, I think
We'll talk
there's a
later.
book. Cat Guy?
Yes, International Teaching, the Best Kept Secret in Education by
The other
Greg
one.
W.W.
The other book.
Hold on a
Thanks
second.
a lot, George.
Oh, there's another book. Hold on.
Finding the Right Fit
Finding
by
the Right
Greg
Fit.
R. Lemoyne.
By
Thanks
Greg
for
R.
remembering,
Lemoyne,
Steve.
MD, PhD, MSW, PPA, www.amazon.com,
PTSD.
or wherever you find your finer books.
Yeah, because Darian, in Greg's first book, he talks all about, the logistics of getting a job fair successful, having a successful time in a job fair. So it was a really good, it was a
came
really
out
good
right
guide.
Right before the interview, the ITP started. Actually, just a little hint is the first book came out on, what was it, February? I think it was February 14th on Valentine's Day. And then we started the ITP in April, right? So the beginning
Are
of
you
April
looking
4th
to
or
give
something.
a gift to your loved one? Have you thought about giving them the book about international teaching next February 14th?
Wrap it up in a bow for you.
www.amazon.com.
There you go.
Find your love overseas.
and to tell the truth, I don't think I would have been successful at a large job fair initially when I came in. I'm
With
glad
that book,
that it
you
was on
would've.
that level because I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the understanding. I didn't know what these international places were truly looking for. They're not just looking for people to kind of come in and do your 9 to 5 in your time, or just to have great teaching strategies inside the classroom. A lot of places are looking for people who they can believe can revolutionize their entire teaching processes. And so you have to have at least the capacity to do that, even if they don't expect you or have that specific expectation. A lot of places seemingly want you to have the capacity to run an entire program or to have
And
outside
coach.
knowledge. Right.
Mhm.
And
All
recreate and
those.
redo the curriculum and
Right.
rewrite this and be a team leader and learn to do this. They some of the smaller schools and bigger schools, like you said, they want you to do everything. And it's
Right.
not just going in and teaching. And, you're right. That's a great point. We haven't brought that up a whole lot.
And even if
Well,
you
and not to
can't,
mention joining a school community. So you're part of a school community, which sometimes can feel a little bit like a bubble, but at the same time, it's your family, it's your friends, it's your go-to people. So they're trying to find people that will mesh with the already existing school culture.
right. And so that means that
Brought to you
the
by
teaching,
Nuovo Water.
that means that teaching is just the basis. That's just the foundation of what the expectation is. Everyone expects you to go in there and teach, and that's just the minimum. And so, what else are you bringing to the table for? Like you said, JP meant that whole school community, and I didn't have a vast understanding of what that truly meant and what specifically these schools were asking for. So, Finding the Right Fit by Greg R. Lemoine.
So now I have a question about
Our company.
now having seen both sides, right? You taught in the States, now you've taught overseas. What are some of the benefits that you see as a family man with your children and your wife? What are some of the family benefits to working and teaching overseas?
I would say that in the Middle East, in particular, because that's where I've taught, I would say the work-life balance is probably the largest visible change that I can see in my family. And not that you don't work hard. It's not that you don't work hard, because you definitely work hard here as well in different ways. But there's not an expectation that if you're not killing yourself, then you're not working. And so you don't have to necessarily be the earliest in and the last one to leave. No, use your time wisely. And you will see the wise use of your time by the product and the output that comes out. So if you're having an effect on the students and the community around you, then you're using your time effectively, no matter when you're kind of coming in. Now, you can come in for your hours and all that great stuff, but the output can be seen in the effect that you have on the community and the people around you. It's not judged in how downtrodden you look. Oh, you've been here a month? Oh no, you can't. You don't have any wrinkles, or you still smiling. Like, no, you yet holding on. You barely holding on. Yeah, you're doing a great job. Because I can see you about to tap out, and that means that you're trying. That's so it's an unnecessary viewpoint that you have to have. And as a teacher, because it's a profession where we jumped into it because we love what we do, that joy in a child's face when they finally understand a concept, or when they can look at things from a different perspective. That's why you got into it. There's no monetary value, or there's no reward that you can receive that's greater than that initial feeling and understanding and ability to have a child understand something that they once did not. And so because of that, you don't have to pull me along to work, or you don't have to create a culture of hard work, or I don't have to have all these outside external rewards in order to make me work harder. No, I'm going to do that because passion is what drives me in my profession. Now, what I need you to do is help me put boundaries on it, because passion is what drives me in my profession. And so I've seen that overseas, the perception is that it's family first. In the Middle East, it's the amount of care and concern that was shown to us, especially when we had like 2 young babies. They pushed us to the front of visa lines. They've moved people out in various places in the airplane so that we can have the most space. You talk about just really, I'm not saying we pinched the baby to cry so that we could go through the line. all the time. You know what I mean? It was sometimes.
Not every time.
Not every time. but it was just a measure of care. If Alicia was somewhere by herself, contrary to popular belief, they really took care of a lot of women, single women. You can move here. We're going to separate you because I know you may feel uncomfortable in this society that has a lot of males and single males. So here's your line and here's your space. Here's your train cart so that you can feel okay and comfortable. And so I have seen nothing but great hospitality. And of course you have your ups and downs, but that perspective of the principal would come in and say, "Hey, my sister is joining me from Lebanon. I'm going home early. You know what I mean? I'm going home early because my sister is coming, and I want to spend time with my sister." That really shapes your perspective of what's important in this
And
life.
shapes the school culture, right? Once you see that even admin are doing it, then you can feel welcome to yourself also. Say, I got to tap out, my son has a toothache and we need to take him to the dentist right now. So
Right.
yeah,
And
it
they even
permeates through.
They let me when I had my second son, Phineas, I had him I didn't have him at all, but my wife had him in September.
That
Once
would
he
have been
was
weird.
born, they let me go for a week. I didn't have to talk about paternity leave. I didn't have to say,
You didn't
no,
have to
just
go through
go.
your contract and say,
Right,
according to Section 3, Part C, I get 3 days of parental leave.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have to highlight anything. They just said, your son is born, go. And so I went. I flew out. I think I went for a week and a half. Just went, spent a couple of days. I surprised Alicia, didn't tell her I was coming. Just rolled up there with some flowers and then came back and just started teaching. Yes, sir. April Meats in the back.
Yes, longtime listener, big time fan. I just want to throw something in here, and that is, it's a joy to hear you say that about your experience, because a lot of teachers go to schools that don't offer that kind of experience. It is something to look for in a school, and it's hard to identify sometimes because they make a lot of promises sometimes, right? Depending on the person that's hiring you. And maybe you won't find out till you get to the school, but hopefully you can find a school where you are valued enough that they can say, hey, listen, it's an emergency, you need to go, right? Not fill out 15 form. Nope, sorry, you can't do that. We don't allow people to do that here. But it's one of those conversations that you can have with potential schools and during the hiring process. And I don't go back to hiring or anything. I just wanted to plug that the way that you're talking about is a school, that's an intrinsic thing that's really hard to see. But once you experience it, they make you want to stay. And I hope admin that are hearing this episode are hearing that from us loud and clear. Like, hey, that is one of the things that makes me really proud to work for a school right now, is that when they say you have an emergency, just go. We will take care of it. We will support you. I know it's important. You're not having the baby, but your wife is, and you need to be there, right? Or you have a death in the family, or if you have a major episode in your life, that they do that. So hopefully out there, listeners are going to find that right fit, we keep saying, but to find a school that will identify the needs of the staff like that. So I appreciate you saying that.
I think it's great that the school has given you time off for your 15 children, Greg, that you've reported to the admin.
Hey, I didn't want to make that public.
My wife back home is having her 16th child.
They've only been married for 2 years. I don't know. It's so weird.
Boy, 4 years on this show, and I've become such a target. Man, I'm going to call
Darian, you got to hop on the bus. You hop on the bus. It's attack Greg all the time. 100%.
She's not just a woman. She's not just Canadian. She's in charge of all this. She's like, she's our boss. We hired a boss.
I make the culture of ITP as attack Greg all the time. That is 100% okay. The culture.
All right, let's take a moment for a little commercial about how to get in touch with us. You can, of course, find all four of us at the itpexpat.com. That's www.itpexpat.com.
Or you could also find us at email at internationalteacherpodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Or if you're into Facebook, we have a new Facebook group at www.facebook.com/groups/ITPexpat, where you can find all kinds of inside information about ITP Expat.
You can also find us on Instagram at ITPXpats. That's with an S. ITPXpats is our handle.
All right, and thank you, listeners. We have over 100 countries represented by our listeners, and though we're not monetized, we are here for you, and we would like to thank all of you for listening. So let's get back to the show.
So, Darian, we always ask our guests, and I know you're not a guest today, you're our fourth co-host on this 4th anniversary episode, but I know that our listeners are going to be dying to hear. Do you have a police or customs story in your back pocket that you can share with us?
Whew. See, as an American, and specifically a Black American, when you say police, it makes me nervous. All right, so like off top. I just let you know, off top, the connection with the police and everything. I'm not sure if you know what's going on right now, but the police, it makes me nervous. So my police stories, I've gotten
let's say police stories from overseas, because I think they'll have a different connotation.
Overseas,
right?
an overseas show, Darian.
Yeah,
it's an overseas show. We have to
I'm
explain that to
thinking
them.
more like
Because
not
we're
that time when you were
international
caught, underage drinking in a donut shop.
Okay.
At 15 years old. Hello. Hi, Mom. Yeah, I know.
When she
She knows
was
that
12.
story. I'm talking about like overseas police stories
Or
that
customs.
are really fun and kind of lighthearted.
I have to be honest. I haven't had. Oh, I might have had one, kind of, sort of. Okay,
There we go.
So it really, we'll see how it goes. So we were driving in the UAE, and when you drive in the left lane, you run a risk. As people are coming up behind you, they're flashing their lights and they're saying, "I need you to move over." Okay. Now I figure it's a multi-lane highway, so I will move over when I feel like it. And so there are some days I'm non-confrontational. I slide to the right and even wave to the person coming on my left side. There are some days somebody got on my nerves, kids fighting the car. You just need to go around. That day was one of those days. I was in my feelings. I wasn't feeling it. You came up and flashing your lights behind me. I just wasn't going to move. And so it was this large Tundra type truck. And I'm driving, and he's flashing his lights, and I'm just staying there because I'm not going to move. And he comes up around, and there was this thing that would happen sometimes. Sometimes people would come up in front of you, and then they would brake check you in order to just kind of get you back for staying in that lane.
Slow them down.
Right. So usually what I do is smile and wave because I know you're angry. And so this time the guy comes in, and he comes, and you can tell he's angry. So he's flashing his lights. Then he turns his lights off and then guns it. Comes around the right side, and then slants and comes around the left side and clips the front of my bumper. Boom. And I have all my kids in the car, and he hits us. And I'm like, oh, shucks. I told you it wasn't that day. It's about to be on like popcorn at the break of dawn. So we go, pull over to the right, and he comes out. And he's just, he's fussing in Arabic. He's fussing. And he comes out, and then when I open the door, I'm a larger guy. I'm about 6'1", 6'2", about 300 on a good day. So I get out of the car, and so he looks, and his eyes get big, and he starts fussing, but then he starts just walking back to his car, fussing that way. And so he walks back.
Gonna fuss backwards.
You were blocking out the sun.
He kind of fusses and gets back in his car and closes the door. And so I'm just, I'm a large guy, but I'm a usually a friendly guy. I understand. I'm not going to have any issues in another country. And so I sit there and I call, in the UAE, you call Saeed. So I say, I'm going to call Saeed. He says, no, I'll call the police. I'll call the police. So he calls the police. This guy comes up, or this unmarked car pulls up behind us about 10 minutes later. And this guy comes out in this full military uniform. And he walks closely and he's like, "What'd you do?" And I said, me drive.
I think he called his brother.
And I didn't know who this guy was. And he just, you bad. You bad. You do wrong. You wrong. You just let him go. Let him go. I was like, hey, my man, I'm not holding him. He is free to go at any time. You bad. You cause big trouble. And for me, seeing that military uniform, I am nervous. I'm nervous, but I'm trying to hold my own because something doesn't quite feel right. It feels just weird because if you are the police, we should be talking about specifics, not you bad. So I'm kind of just standing there. I'm standing there, and because he pulled up, he had lights. He came out. And then Saeed pulls up, which is a specific branch for traffic. Saeed pulls up. And when Saeed pulls up, he takes a step back because he's right on me saying these things. You bad. You let him go. Saeed pulls up, and Saeed just says, take a step back. And all this is happening in Arabic. And he's just saying, oh, let me look. And so they looked. They took pictures. And then they told me to sit on the side. Granted, my family is in the car just kind of watching it. My son, my daughter, everybody's in there just watching what's going on with Daddy.
Yeah.
Right. And they asked me what happened, and I told them that I didn't move over, and then he came and he clipped me. And Saeed said, well, why didn't you move over? And I was like, Shuhada, I don't know, Shuhada. And so he was like, oh, okay. And so it turns out Saeed went. Once he was there, the guy backed up, and then he left, and then the other guy left, and then I signed a paper, and I was talking to Saeed. I said, what happened? That's police. Like, what's going on? And the guy said, police, but no police. Just friend. So apparently, this guy had called his off-duty police officer friend to come and intimidate. And this is not the first time that this has happened where he's received maybe a settlement because you don't go to police, maybe a little bit of money, but they had their officer friend come. But because we had went through with the calling the traffic police, everything was deemed okay at the end. And he just said, at the end, he just said, guy coming, move over. I said, okay. Mafi mushkila, habibi. I will. Mafi mushkila. I will move over from now on. But that is the biggest police experience that I have had.
Well, it just goes to show you, this is one of the reasons why we love living overseas, right? Because every day can be an adventure. Everything can be kind of a new cultural moment where you learn a little bit about yourself through interactions with others. Like you learned that, I could sit on the side of a highway with my family in the car and just be calm.
Chance of a new prison.
Right, exactly. It really is just an adventure and just making sure you take advantage of it. I have another story about it. You're talking about adventures. We went to go try to discover Shark Tooth Valley in the middle of Saudi Arabia. And so we get on the road and we're driving, and we get lost, as we often do. Like, and our saying in our family is, you can never be lost with a full tank of gas. So we have 3 quarters, so we're semi-lost.
The other saying is, can mom drive?
And so we go, and we're trying to find the Shark Tooth Valley. We're going, and we cross this. There's a gate there, and it's kind of closed. But
You nudged it lovingly with your car.
yeah, I just kind of ran on through. Yeah, it's a gently. There was no lock, and so we gently, and then we pulled on off. We were going. As soon as we crossed there, dogs come out, and these dudes come out. And I'm like, oh shoot, okay, my bad. I went in the wrong place, so I put it in reverse, and I try to reverse out. They get to the back of me. They don't let me reverse out. And they go say they say pull over, like I need to pull over. So I go and I pull over, and I'm just like, oh man, I may have did it this time. And they said come in. So I get out and I walk, and I'm just like, salam alaikum, kif halik, shukbadik, just talking. And they were like, who you from where? And I'm there, I'm from America,
Virginia.
just coming here. Right?
Okay.
Like I'm from here.
Friends with Saeed.
Yeah. Friends with Saeed. Yeah.
So they bring me in and they say, sit down. I'm like, okay. And so I sit down and we just sit there for a little while. And I was like, my family is bring family now, sit down. So I go get my family. We all sit down at this random, we're in the middle of nowhere. It's this lean-to that's sitting there. And as we're sitting down, somebody just brings out a huge plate of rice and goat.
They're going to feed you.
And yeah, so we're just
Time to eat.
we're just kind of, but the same volume and aggression that was turned around was the same volume and aggression that was come in, was the same volume and aggression.
You eat rice. You eat rice.
No. Okay.
All right, I'm going to start eating.
And so we all five of us are sitting around and eating this goat using Google Translate to talk to these random guys that we met on our way to Shark Tooth Valley. It was really, and it was interesting because we were coming from Hafuf, and we were in Riyadh province, which is about 2 or 3 hours away. But it was interesting to hear of the people from Riyadh, what they thought about people from Hafuf, and how people from Hafuf thought about people from Riyadh, to show that Saudi Arabians are not a monolith. They still have the same little small, I'm from this area. This area is a little better than this area. This area is a little better than this area, and kind of funny jousting that you have everywhere. But they were from Riyadh province, and they were like, Riyadh is the best province. Everyone's good, but this is the best. And so it was neat to just see all those little nuances as I was hurriedly eating my goat in the presence of our new friends.
How did your kids take it? Did they enjoy the goat?
Yeah, they are really hands on. So they made their little spot, and they were just grabbing handful. They're eaters, and so they were just grabbing, handfuls. There's handfuls of meat and rice. And my daughter is a semi-vegetarian, and so I think she doesn't eat beef, only steak. So she
Only steak.
yeah, so
A semi-vegetarian.
Semi-vegetarian.
She'll only eat a semi full of beef.
she's a bougetarian. So she only eats exquisite cuts. So she
Only filet mignon.
right, yeah, no skirt, none of that flank. Only filet mignon. And so she was like taking little pieces and then mostly rice, I think. But they enjoyed themselves. They talk about it, one of the neatest times they've had. So just speaking of those random adventures that you find.
Every time Dad gets out of the car,
yeah,
we have
there's
to
an
wait for an
adventure.
hour while Dad talks to the police or something else.
They were just going to the market that day too.
Hey, Darian, if you ever go to Texas, don't go in someone's gate because they're not going to pull you aside just to have goats.
Just drive around Texas.
Yeah, I say Houston,
no, wait, I can't say
San
that.
Antonio, and Dallas. That's all I go to. Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. Maybe El Paso. Everywhere else I drive through.
Dear Texas, I'd like to apologize on
Funny.
behalf of the hosts of the ITP. We very much love Texas, and thank you for your continued
The
support.
opinions stated in this episode are of our co-hosts
Are only the
only.
opinions.
No affiliation to the IDP. We'll have a little banner across, a warning flag banner going
Welcome
across.
to the show, Darian.
Welcome to the show, Darian. We love you.
Well, I, for one, feel like I have gotten to know Darian a lot better over the course of this time. And thank you so much for, being in the hot seat and answering all those questions for us. But I know for a fact that listeners, I know for a fact that listeners are going to be curious.
No, because we still have another. Darian, we always ask 2 questions on the show.
Yeah, the other question.
JP, our boss, just totally flipped over the last one. And here's the other question for you, Darian. If you, everywhere you go, like with your family, when you go to these different schools, not when you go out looking for goat and, break through people's yards and stuff, but when you go to different schools overseas, what are some things that you take with you to make you feel like you're at home? And I'm not talking about your kids. I'm not talking about your pets or anything. I'm talking about 3 things that you take with you, you personally, to make you feel like you're right at home when you go to these places.
3 things I take with me. Ooh, these are good questions. Good questions. I always take a journal of some sort. So I always have to I love to write, to reflect on thoughts, to listen to people talk and write what I hear, because those are oftentimes, you can ask my wife, what she says and what I hear are 2 different things. And so I like to record it just to make sure I have evidence of it. I like to take one good book about the place, and make sure I have reading and somewhat understanding about where I'm going into, and just kind of to reread it and to get an understanding of what's going on. And my 3rd one, probably a really nice pen. A really nice pen, or a group of somewhat sub-mediocre pens that can all together add up to a great pen. And so just so that I remember when I came over initially with that $750 to last the 2 to 3 months of being in the UAE. That's pretty much all I had. I had my thoughts. Yeah. I did have a crock pot. Now that's a strong 4. That's a strong
number 4.
strong number 4. A crock pot. But nowadays I've elevated. I've worked overseas for almost a decade, so I put together some funds and I moved from crock to Insta.
Yep.
Okay. So now
Insta
moving up in the world.
Just
moving up in the world.
Yeah, well, I can do a little
Canadian
cooking.
invention. Canadian invention.
What's an Instapot? Is that like a microwave?
No.
First, I don't know if we have enough time to dive into the amazingness of the Instapots, but a short answer is an
cook a whole
Instapot.
chicken in 15 minutes.
An Instapot is an electric pressure cooker. But what it allows you to do is to cook meats and meals at accurate temperatures, and oftentimes for a lot less time, due to being able to cook it under pressure.
This
is why we have Darian on the show.
Brought to you by
Darian is
Instapot,
so
a product of
well-spoken,
Canada.
Darian. You're so well spoken. You should be doing commercials for Instapots. My God!
And as soon as they call me,
mediocre pens too. Right?
I will give you an example of my Instapot usage. Is that I live in very high altitude, and it takes a lot of time to cook rice. And if you're going to use brown rice or wild rice, even longer. Like all the water will dry out of the pot 2-3 times.
Yeah, because it boils off at like 98 or 97, right?
I put those suckers in the Instapot. In 15 minutes, I have wild rice that's beautiful, fluffy, a little chicken stock or something inside. It is so amazing. Instapot has changed my life. I bought one this last fall.
Restaurants changed my life. Restaurants. That's all I need to say.
What's your altitude? What's your elevation, JP man?
Oh, that's a good question. I know,
So
so
personal.
from Mexico City, we're down, but we're higher than Guadalajara. So it's like somewhere, I don't know. It's meters, it's
Homework assignment.
feet.
She just compared it to
Oh,
another place that we have no idea.
we'll say, well, wait, I can compare it to the Mile High City. It is
Denver.
higher than
Okay.
Denver.
Yes. Okay.
We are higher than
Really?
Denver.
Yes, we
Is
get
it
that.
higher than Waxahachie? What's the name of the city you're from,
Is
Darian?
it?
What's
No,
the
he's
name of the
from
city?
Pawtucket. No, he's from.
Waxahachie.
Waxahachie?
He's from
Tuckatuck.
Hakachui?
Chuckatuck.
Oh, Chuckatuck.
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 JP and our listeners, he's from a place called Chuckatuck, and it's
Chuckatuck,
tiny.
Virginia, baby.
It's like
Chuckatuck,
4
Virginia.
people that live there still, right? And Darian left it down to like 3. Right?
So now
the only
ITP
place.
fans on a road trip through Virginia are going to go look up Chuckatuck
You
and
bet they
take
are.
photos of the sign and say, I was in Darian's hometown.
The only place that people from Riyadh and people from Hafuf could agree on is a little bit lower than them.
Chuckatuck.
Sorry, Dad.
Do they have Instapots in Chuckatuck?
To the people of Chuckatuck, we apologize at the ITP.
All 3 of you listening, Darian is on our show now. I love
That's
it.
right.
But that's important for people to know later on, is that Darian's from a very tiny, tiny place, and he's been living in some pretty big cities now, and it's a different kind of environment for you. So it's not just a jump off of culture; it's a jump into a different kind of lifestyle, no matter what. I mean, we have a big school right now, and your kids. There's more people at our school than there probably are in the whole county of Chuckatuck, too. You know, I don't know.
Well,
1,200.
Chuckatuck is interesting because my family is from Smithfield, which is a little larger, but Smithfield, Virginia. I'm not sure if you've ever had Smithfield hams or Gwaltney bacon or Gwaltney ham, but I'm from a place that's really known for preserved
Here we
meat,
have it.
preserved.
This
Not in Saudi
episode
Arabia.
sponsored by Maple Meats and Guacni Meats. What did you say?
Guacni
Guacni?
Good old Gwaltney. But like that's where I'm from. There are 2 of the largest employers. One is the shipyard, and one is the packing plant. And so usually your life goes in one
You're
of
the
those
family
directions.
man. See, the other family guy, Matt, one of the founders of this show, is from the place where they make Spam. Did you guys know that? He comes from Spam country.
Right? I didn't know
Not
they.
the
I thought
email
they just.
Spam. I mean,
I
real
thought
Spam.
Spam was just thrown together from the rest of the
Yeah. Spam.
access.
From
It
the
is.
sweepings on the floor.
They just put together a whole bunch of extra stuff and throw it in there and call
Yeah.
it Spam.
We apologize to those lovers
Yeah,
of
to the
Spam.
spam company,
Hawaii,
we would like to send our
those.
apologies. we,
So, Darian,
What a great episode.
in this 4th year of the ITP, and now coming on as a co-host, what are your hopes and wishes for ITP moving forward as far as guests or interviews? What are you looking forward to in our 4th year?
Well, I am looking for new experiences and new connections. ITP, I just realized ITP was birthed in the year that I came to Aramco because this is my 4th year. It's you all's 4th year, and maybe 1 year prior, but birthed around the same time. And it seems like that during that time, people were just getting over COVID, looking for ways to connect, using the internet for a greater purpose and at a greater with a greater need than it had been used previously. And so I think that continues in year 4, finding new and inventive ways in order to connect with people through the podcast, using technology, like using this podcast that can help people who are far apart become closer together and have some conversations that allow listeners to feel like they're right here with us and feel like they can travel the world with us. And so I'm excited to, and just talking to you all, really experiencing all the different personalities that have one common interest, which is to be interested in other people and other places. And so I'm happy to be a part and look forward to learning more about you all as well.
Yay!
I do have a prediction. I believe that the listeners are going to demand that this become just the Batten Mint show, and that get the other two guys
Goodbye,
off
Greg.
camera.
Goodbye, Ken guy.
Hey, thanks, Greg. It's been great working with you.
I loved it. It's been a great run for these 4 years.
Great 4 years.
I like the sound of that.
Hey, just so you know, listeners, you'll notice that our logo has changed now. I put a big teddy bear up for Darian, and you'll see why when you see him on video. He's like a big teddy bear with his personality.
6'2", 300-pound teddy bear sitting right next to Ken the cat guy and the
Ken the
parrot.
cat guy, and then your JP Mint is JP with that's our logo now.
Flowing red hair.
All right. Before I read us out, anyone want to share any last thoughts? Any thoughts? Because if you had them, you would have said it by now.
If we had champagne, we
we
could
have
pop
to
the
finish
cork, and just celebrate 4 years of being on here. There's not a lot of shows that have been out this long that still keep going, and we did go video as well as audio. But I think it's been a great run, and our listeners, we have about 200 people that listen almost all the time. There's a lot of listeners that are very supportive and listening, and I want them to keep.
And at least
going
one
and
who's
share.
not supportive. I just want to say, you know what?
Oh my God! What is that? Wow, Kent is lashing out now.
Okay.
We don't have any. There's nothing but love in the IT.
I didn't know we were going there, Ken. I didn't know we were going there. Okay.
Saeed. I'm calling Saeed, man.
Oh,
I want to
gosh.
say,
Yes.
as a recent longtime listener of ITP, that I have listened to the whole archive, that we have Greg to thank for changing up the format, like not really ever changing the format, but reinventing. With almost every year or every couple years, we introduce new co-hosts, we introduce new questions. And I think that's kudos to you, Greg, for being flexible enough and not just like, it's my way or the highway, because we know for sure it's not your way most of the time.
Can I have a raise then? Just so you know, JP, just so you know, I made Darian sign a contract with a crayon. I made one up completely for him, and he added zeros to it. I'm like, I can't afford $10 million. A lot of fun.
JP Mint, a lot of fun. I would like to thank JP Mint. You can find her at jpmintconsulting.com. Thank you, JP.
Thank you.
I would like to thank our newest co-host and a old friend, I can say that now, Darian Batten. You can find Darian Batten in the guest room. Thank you, Darian Batten. I would finally like to thank the heart and soul of the ITP, a man who needs no formal introduction.
Thank you, Ken.
But I better because none of us seem to know his name. Thank you, Greg. Greg has recently bought a vacuum cleaner, and he learned a valuable lesson that vacuum cleaners and vacuum cleaning bags are sold separately. So, Greg, thank you so much. I'm the cat guy, and you can find me always in room 303. See you next time.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us.
Birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
To you.
There you go. We will see you next episode, everybody.
I love that doggy. Oh, my gosh. That's the cutest thing ever.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh.
Hey,
What kind of dog is that?
That is a French poodle mix.
Yeah.
Of course, the Canadian would get the French poodle.
Or as my vet wrote, French poodle. P-O-W-D-L-E. I was like,
That's awesome.
what?
I love that. Oh,
that
well,
was
thank
fun,
you so
guys.
much.